And we heard J.D. Vance saying that, this ceasefire deal is going, he said, better than expected. He said, quote, "I feel very optimistic based on the conversations we've had here and with our Gulf Arab friends. I think we can make peace stick," he said. I mean, do you share that same level of optimism?
I would say cautious optimism. And I think that represents the consensus in the United States. Yes, there's opposition to Donald Trump, but I think the consensus in the United States is we wanted an end to the war, a return of the prisoners and hostages, the beginning of the end of the humanitarian crisis. But we're also realistic in the United States that this isn't going to be solved in a week, in a month. And we know that Donald Trump is not one who deals in nuance. Everything is always the best, the biggest, the final, permanent. And while J.D. Vance may understand that that is hardly the case in this particular instance, he is there to carry Donald Trump's message. And that is why you see this optimism that sometimes kind of glosses over very real questions about the second stage of this peace deal.
Right. So you seem to be suggesting that, in fact, the next stage is going to be perhaps the harder part of implementing this ceasefire deal.
Yes, and I think that the majority of the legitimate criticisms of this process from the United States are the fact that if you look at the 20-point plan, there aren't details. And it doesn't seem as if the current efforts focus on the problem at the root of the issue. And even though those are mentioned, like I think there's vague language on a path to aspirations of statehood, several layers of diplomatic language, where are the details? Because there have been ceasefires in the past. The problem has been, how do we address those underlying issues? How do we address the very real current facts on the ground about there's a return of the Palestinians to Gaza, but return to what? And who is going to make sure that that doesn't turn into another humanitarian crisis? Is the United States, for example, the right mediator between the parties? Or are they there to execute what Netanyahu and Israel want? A lot of legitimate questions with not a lot of details in the answers. And I think that's the base of a lot of the skepticism we have in the United States.